Hello and welcome to Europa Universalis 4. I am Lord Forwind, here with a requested brief guide on how to play Muscovy, the strongest of the Russian minor nation, well, major nations, I guess technically, the Russian nations. So as Muscovy, you start out in a very strong position. You do have one downside, and that is your massive excess of vassals. You start out with 5 vassals: Pskov, Belarus, however you say it, Yaroslav, Rostov, and Perm. This is really good because they, being vassals, contribute more troops than you could if you owned their land. However, it means you can't really get any diplomatic alliances outside of your vassals at the beginning. If you do get an ally, one of the better ones might be picking up someone like Denmark or Poland, if you're worried about those two. Anyway, the first order of business as Muscovy is to take the wonderful mission, which is conquer Novgorod, which is one of the best in the game for a mission. It gives you claims on all the Novgorodian provinces. Novgorod is significantly weaker than you. Let me see how much they actually have to start with. They start with 12,000, can have 17,000. You have way more than that. So the initial starting moves for them are, as soon as you can, unless Novgorod gets an ally like Denmark or Poland, Lithuania, is to declare war on them and take them out. I advise, if you're going to take land, you try and take the Swedish-Norwegian border, because that will cut off the whole Denmark-Kalmar union of Sweden, Norway, and Denmark from invading Novgorod as well, which they will do, and it will also cut off the Livonian Order and Lithuania. Once you have done that, you want to consolidate your holdings and start turning your gaze south. There are 2 minor nations down here, Ryazan and Odiev. Probably said that wrong. But you have the same dynasty as them, so there is a small chance that, yes, if you look at the bottom here, on Monarch Debt, personal union with Muscovy, doesn't always fire. In some ways, you actually don't want it to fire because it's much quicker to actually conquer them and just integrate their lands that way. Now, the big difficulty early on for Muscovy, later turning to Russia, is that you're Orthodox. And although there's a large amount of Orthodox lands over here, they're part of the Poland-Lithuanian Commonwealth Union that will usually form. But that means all the land down here, your wonderful steppe provinces that are historically, part of Russia, are controlled by Sunni Muslims, specifically the hordes. Now, to defeat the hordes, it's pretty easy. You, by and large, wait till you hit Tech 5, you get your better infantry, or you wait till Tech 9 where you get really good infantry. And at that point, you can usually fight them once you've integrated Novgorod and start to integrate your vassals. I advise you leave Perm and try and pick up these smaller ones first. You also have Tver here, which can be conquered at your leisure. In order to form Russia, you have to hit Admin Tech 10, which is going to take a while. And you have to control Novgorod's capital. You have to either control Tver or Yaroslav's capital. And you have to either conquer Ryazan or Smolensk. I believe Smolensk is, yes. Smolensk is in Lithuania, so it's much easier to go conquer Ryazan for that achievement. And once you get that, you get wonderful claims on all of the Russia, Pontic, and Ural regions, which, if we look at those, are quite large. You get claims on all of this, essentially, which makes life a lot easier conquering this region. Now, as I said, they are Sunni Muslim, which means the earliest that you can really conquer their lands and convert it is about Admin Tech 10. The active uniformity will certainly help because it gives you 1. And since they have the wonderful penalty of -2 missionary strength, that's about the soonest you'll be able to convert their lands. Obviously, you can try and get a Inquisitor advisor, admin advisor, to try and convert the lands, but again, it's going to be really difficult to do so in any great number. For that reason, usually I advocate, as Russia, you take your first idea, religious ideas, not only because of the extra missionary and the conversion strength, but also because at the end, Deus Vult and the conversion cost of culture will enable you to just massively convert this region, and if you want to convert it all to the wonderful Muscovite culture group. And since you are obviously going to turn into Russia, you will also get the Russian ideas at some point. The Muscovy ideas are pretty good. They're some of the better in the game, but the Russian ideas are significantly stronger. Specifically, there's a Russian idea that allows you to essentially free colonize all of the Russian region, Siberian frontiers. You pay a small amount of, I think it's Diplo power, and essentially you get a non-maintenance cost colony. So you can start spreading east pretty quickly. Now, if you wanted to get an achievements, which I actually can't see, there's one which is reach the coast here by 1500. The only way you're really going to be able, it's either 1500 or 1600. It might be 1600. The only way you're going to do that is form Russia and do the Russian frontiers, which means your first goal should obviously be form Russia as fast as you possibly can. You turn into a Tsardom, which allows you to fabricate claims on entire states, which is really useful. It's more expensive, but for example, if you want the Kazan state, you can fabricate a claim on a good portion of 3 provinces rather than just 1. It really does help with land grabs. Muscovy is absurdly powerful. I did a let's play of it. I ended up fighting both France and Aragon, and the war dragged on for like 50 or so years. Absolutely destroyed the let's play, but it was an epic war. Other things to remember about the Russians. You have the wonderful Reform Subnik, support Optrinas, I'm probably saying this all wrong, and raise Streltsy. Now, these are unique to the Russian government forms, the Vichy Republics and the Russian Principalities, of which you are one. And it does stay with you when you turn into a Tsardom. Raise the Streltsies is really powerful. You gain points in it based off your monarch points, and once you hit the full, you can raise Streltsy regiments. The Streltsy, if I remember, have increased fire damage, I believe, which makes them very useful late game. On the other side, you do increase your stability cost, but if you're smart enough to go religious, you take church attendance duty and reduce your stability cost modifier by 25%, and you can actually maintain a half-decently large Streltsy army late game, especially once you get the Russian ideas, which give you massive force limits amounts. Other ones, your support Optrinas reduces rebel factions, which could be really useful late game if you are dealing with, say, a disaster, like Time of Troubles, which gives you national unrest everywhere, stuff like that. It makes your life a lot easier restraining those. And then you've got your Reform Subnik, which impacts autonomy by -10 in all our provinces. That means you can take large amounts of lands really quickly, and by and large, you can integrate them into your empire significantly faster than anyone else can, just using that ability pretty much as soon as it comes up. I recommend doing it if you've got like 10 provinces. Below that, it's probably worth conquering more land first. Now, once you've formed Russia and you've taken over the steppes and you've colonized the whole region that forms modern-day Russia, it's time to consider where to go. If Poland-Lithuania has not formed and is massive, it might be a good idea to invade these regions to pick up the rest of your Ruthenian, Russia, East Slavic culture groups. I mean, the land over there is, it could be better, but it's not terrible land. It's about on par with the rest of Russia. And that would give you control of also Orthodox lands, which is really good. There's a mission as Russia control conquer Rome, which obviously would involve you going on a massive conquering spree to convert Rome to Orthodox, which it's a possibility, but it's pretty difficult. Other things to consider. The Ottomans can either be your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. The Ottomans are going to, of course, dominate the Middle East, but if you can ally with them, which I have done a couple times, usually by rivaling like Poland, Lithuania, and the other Ottoman rivals, you can potentially expand into the Orthodox regions down here, in the Caucasus regions. And the Ottomans plus Russia, your force limit's absurd. At that point, you can just steamroll most of Eastern Europe. But the other option as Russia is you can go invade Afghanistan. Obviously, I can't see it at this point. Afghanistan, the Timurids, Persia region, usually because you're ahead in tech and you'll have a massive army. Later on, once your border gets all the way over to the Chinese region, if you manage to border China just a little bit, you'll be so huge that the Chinese mandate will just start to collapse instantly, and you can invade China very cheaply and take a lot of land, which is really awesome. Really, Muscovy can go wherever they want. You can continue invading Europe, take out Norway, Sweden, Denmark. I think you get missions on this region, but you also get a lot of missions to invade the hordes down here. But overall, Russia, Muscovy, I advise religious ideas, probably followed by defensive. Get the increased attrition during your Russian winters. Other options, influence is not bad because you're going to be really large, so the aggressive expansion impact helps a lot. Humanist, if you don't go religious, can help unify your empire. But I recommend snagging religious, taking defensive, probably influence, or trade might also be useful because you're going to control quite a few trade nodes. Quantity is kind of a must as Russia. It will mean that you'll never run out of manpower and you'll always have the largest army. Economics, pretty good. Administrative, if you're taking lots of land, will be very useful in the long run as well. And obviously, late game, you want to try and pick up both offensive and quality ideas. And probably at the end, you have to take espionage, mainly due to detecting foreign spies. That's pretty much it in terms of a Muscovy-Russia guide I can offer easily. I did do a Let's Play of it. You can check it out. I never finished it because of how bad I started to do at the end. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave questions or comments, and I'll try and answer them. Thank you guys all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed a fairly short Russia guide.